So it's just Supervisor Nudo then.
They're working on him, right?
Yes,
Okay. So right now he's the only one missing?
that is correct.
Okay, then we'll call the meeting to order. And if he comes in, he'll just make a notice, I hope, real quick. Let us do the Pledge of Allegiance first. Pledge allegiance to the flag of
Flag
the United States of
of
America
America,
and to the
the
republic,
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible.
liberty,
Liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
all. Thank you. We'll do a roll call, please.
Grady,
Here.
Rose, Gantz,
Here.
Belsky,
Here.
Celebrate,
Here.
Kubicki,
Here.
Dashke,
here.
Rodriguez,
Here.
O'Day,
Here.
Bird,
Here.
Ron Frederick,
Here.
Nudo, Franco,
Here.
Boyd Frederick,
Here.
Mauer,
Here.
Gully,
Here.
Wamble,
Here.
Uhas,
Here.
Beck,
What about Winky?
I'm not done yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Looking, Supervisor Beth. She was on here. Okay, there she is. Palmaville,
Here.
Nordigan,
Here.
Decker,
Here.
Winky.
Here.
Is Nudo present?
He is not, I don't think he's on yet.
Not yet. Okay.
He's
They're working
trying.
on it, right? Okay.
There's 22, currently 22. If Supervisor Nudo gets on, it'll be everyone.
Okay.
Before.
Is Joe on too?
He was.
Do you mean, Mr. Chairman?
Okay. Just want to make sure you're,
I am present.
Reggie, are there any citizens' comments?
There are no virtual citizen comments. There was one that was emailed to the supervisors earlier today that came in by email.
Okay, thank you. Otherwise, I would read this little blurb if there were any, okay? In that case, I won't. I have one announcement to make. The Supervisor Berg is donating this month his $200 to Grace Church Welcoming Center, which I believe that's where he's at right now, but he's attending the meeting virtually. So that will go out at the end of the month. So we'll move on to chairman appointments.
County Board Chairman appointments. Number 2, Supervisor Sandra Beth to serve on the Land and Water Conservation Committee.
Refer to PDAC committee.
3, Supervisor Daniel Gashke to serve on the Land and Water Conservation Committee.
Refer to PDAC committee. Are there any supervisor reports? Any committee chair care to give a report?
Supervisor Belsky for Human Services.
Go ahead.
Okay. We met on January 5th. We'll be introducing a resolution tonight for child support services, and I'll speak more at that time. We also had an update on COVID, and I sent out an email to everybody with the 2 new links that Director had sent out and her latest situation report. COVID is rapidly changing day by day. When we spoke on January 5th, she said cases were coming down. It's kind of a rolling spike, and they are preparing for spike cases in February. At that point, testing demand had been down, hospitalizations had been down. She's talking with the state on a weekly basis for the vaccine. Kenosha County was one out of 8 counties to get vaccine, and they had 300 doses, 150 EMT fire department with a 74% vaccination rate. And they received 400 doses for the 1A providers. That's the level of risk for hospice. And there's approximately 11,000 patients that would receive the 1A, that are on the 1A provider list. They're also waiting on funding for the vaccine. There are 4 phases or 2 programs. There's the federal pharmacy program that's for long-term care, the public health program, which is hospital staff, and then there is the 1C, which is the 65 and above group. There's approximately 58,000 people. And there will be 20 agencies that have applied to distribute the vaccine. And then stage 4 is everything beyond the 65 and above. So again, I would encourage you to go to our county website to see the latest facts, information on the COVID vaccine release and rollout, as well as asking Dr. Freiheit to come to our next board meeting. I'd like to see it on the agenda that she speak to the vaccine rollout. That's all for health department. We also had Director Rogers and his staff come in. They gave us an update on the 2019 Youth Justice Report and an update on the foster parent program. And I have to say that with as challenging as it's been with COVID, Director Rogers has done a really outstanding job with the $55,000 that we were able to give him last year via a resolution to bring in more volunteer support and additional foster families. They went from 50 volunteers to 88 and 15 families to 23 with the goal of being 54 foster families. Again, it's been a trying time trying to get foster families with COVID. So they're also with the One Hope, 90 kids received blankets, including the 20 families. So it's going really well. They're doing a great job. The Justice Report from Donna Dickinson and Donna Rhodes, they gave us the 2019, and it looks like we're trending with 184 referrals to juvenile intake court. Motor vehicle thefts are on the rise. For all of 2019, it was at 35, and in December of 2020, it's at 32. So they are seeing an increase. But overall, I like to really thank Director Ron Rogers for doing an outstanding job in both these areas. With regard to the update, with regard to the Kenosha equity efforts, that commission is being led by Supervisor Gully, and then Supervisor Palmaville and Supervisor Rodriguez are on that commission. They had their first meeting, and they will be giving us monthly updates at the Human Services meeting. So they've just kicked off their efforts in our organizing. And that is all I have.
Anything from you, Bill?
I'm ready to move ordinance 20 when you are.
It's required 2 readings, so tonight is the first reading.
All right.
Could I bring up something in supervisor reports?
Is it germane to the meeting?
It's just a couple issues that happened up in on 2 roads, County H, north of Washington, County C, right by the Trevor-Wilmot School. I contacted Clement at Public Works. They took care of both issues right away. I just wanted to give them a heartfelt thanks. Couldn't ask for better better reply and better, what I want to say, fixing it. It all got fixed up immediately. So I wanted to thank Clement and the Public Works Department for the good jobs they've done.
Thank you. Any other reports? New business, Reggie?
I'd like to let you know Supervisor Nudo has joined the meeting.
Okay, great,
Okay.
great.
New business ordinance 20, first reading to required. From the Public Works and Facilities Committee, an ordinance to enact a four-way stop at the intersection of County Trunk Highway K and County Trunk Highway B in the town of Brighton and the village of Paddock Lake. Resolutions, one reading. Resolution 63 from the Finance Administration Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Sharon Acerbi to the Kenosha County Library System Board. From Finance and Administration Committee, Rose I, Gantz I, Ron Frederick I, Wamble I, Kubicki I, Uhas I, Franco I.
Supervisor Rose.
Mr. Chairman, I would move the resolution.
Motion by Supervisor Rose, second by Supervisor Ron Frederick. Supervisor Rose on the motion.
All right, thank you. This is a reappointment. Sharon Acerbi has attended 13 of 16 meetings of the committee. The appointment was reviewed by the Finance Committee and unanimously endorsed, and we ask for your endorsement this evening.
Are there any questions? Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll just take a voice vote if we can on this. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
No.
Who is no?
Abe.
Okay, you're noted. Motion passes.
Resolution 64 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution to accept and utilize Wisconsin Land Information Program grant funding for Kenosha County Land Records Modernization Project activities. From Finance and Administration Committee, Rose I, Gantz I, Ron Frederick I, Wamble I, Kubicki I, Uhas I, Franco I.
Supervisor Rose.
Mr. Chairman, I would move the resolution before you.
I have a motion by Supervisor Rose, second by Supervisor Gantz. Supervisor Rose.
All right, this is a grant funding of some $50,000, and it's from the Wisconsin Land Information Program to be used at the local level to modernize our system. It is a budget modification. It requires a 2/3 vote, and we ask for your support this evening.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Brady,
Aye.
Rose,
I vote for it again, so that's when you gotta be quiet.
Gantz,
Aye.
Belsky,
Aye.
Celebrity,
Aye.
Kubicki,
Aye.
Yashki,
Aye.
Holy mother.
Yashki,
Aye.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
O'Day,
Aye.
Berge, sorry. Supervisor Berg,
Aye.
Ron Frederick,
Aye.
Nudo,
Aye.
Franco,
Aye.
Boyd Frederick,
Aye.
Mauer,
Aye.
Gully,
Aye.
Wamble,
Aye.
Uhas,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Palmaville,
Aye.
Nordigan,
Aye.
That's all.
Supervisor Nordigan.
Aye.
Thank you. Decker, Winky.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Resolution 65 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution authorizing the transfer of 12 parcels taken by tax deed to the state of Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources for unpaid taxes and recording fees. From Finance and Administration Committee, Rose, I. Gantz, I. Ron Frederick, I. Wamble, I. Kubicki, I. Uhas, I. Franco, I.
Supervisor Rose.
I would move the resolution.
The motion by Supervisor Rose, second by Supervisor Wamble. Supervisor Rose.
The state statutes require county boards to approve all land, real estate transfers to anyone to be approved by the county board. These particular parcels are not cannot be developed by anyone. They are wetlands, and this is part of what is called the Chewauquee Prairie State Natural Area. The proposal is to transfer them for some $40,000 to the State Department of Natural Resources and to cancel any tax that may be due.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Joe, we don't have to have a 2/3 vote on this or anything, do we?
We do not. This does not modify the budget.
Okay, so we can do a simple roll call. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
He says aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries unanimously then?
Thank you. Resolution 66 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution regarding to approve Kenosha County's intent to self-insure for workers' comp. From the Finance and Administration Committee, Rose, I. Gantz, I. Ron Frederick, I. Wamble, I. Kubicki, I. Uhas, I. Franco, I.
Supervisor Rose.
I would move the resolution.
We have a motion by Supervisor Rose, second by Supervisor Uhas. Supervisor Rose on the motion.
Mr. Chairman and board members, every 3 years, the county must review its commitment to self-insure workers' compensation. The alternative is to go to an insurance company, pay a premium, and they then handle workers' compensation. It has been found to be more effective or cost-effective to monitor the program itself and self-insure. Therefore, we are asking this evening for an additional 3 years of renewal for self-insurance for workers' comp.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll just do a simple, all in favor, aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Resolution 67 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to request increased funding from the state for county child support services. From Human Services Committee, Belsky, I. Berg, I. Gully, I. Beth, I. Celebrate, excuse. Decker, I. Winky, I.
Supervisor Belsky.
I move resolution 67.
We have a motion by Supervisor Belsky, a second by Supervisor Berg. Supervisor Belsky on the motion.
This resolution, it pertains to the Kenosha County Child Support Services, which serves 12,000 families and collected $36.5 million in 2020. The program will lose $4.2 million in federal funding in 2022 due to a change in the federal reimbursement for birth cost collections. This change is due to a federal interpretation of the law, which occurred on June 30th, 2019. Right now, we have 67 counties in the state of Wisconsin that have issued a resolution for funding. Many counties are concerned that they'll need to reduce staff levels and services without this additional funding. Reduced staff will result in additional reductions in federal performance funding. The child support program is one of the most cost-effective anti-poverty programs in the country. Child support payments account for 58% of income for custodial families living in poverty. The program collects $6.20 in child support for every dollar investment. Child support is also tied to increased child well-being. Children who receive child support are more likely to graduate high school and less likely to enter the criminal justice system. Kenosha County Child Support will see a funding loss of $150,000 to $300,000 for the biennial budget for 2021 to 2023 without a state legislative budget increase to the Wisconsin Child Support Program. We therefore are asking for your support in passing this resolution.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, Terry Rose.
Terry Rose.
All right, thank you. And this is a inquiry of the Chair, Supervisor Belsky. I don't know what the chances of this being funded as requested, but in the event that the state does not provide that funding, can the board assume that Kenosha County is not going to make up any of that funding in whole or in part? Is that a correct assumption?
It sounds like one because we do need the money from state legislature. And if
Not going to be funding this ourselves in whole or in part.
no, they would have to look at reduction of staff and reduction of services, is my understanding.
Okay. All right.
Any other discussion? Being done?
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Is it Jeff? Gens? Supervisor Gens?
Yes, that's me. Through the chair to Supervisor Belsky, have we sent this to our legislators and tried to band together with the other counties and done anything on a legislative level?
That's why all the counties are submitting these resolutions to go to the state legislature. Because we need continued funding, not just a Band-Aid.
Okay, I would then, ask that we follow up the same way we did the last time we sent something to the legislature to see if they've received it and such. So I would like to have that done as well, whatever we did the last time.
Okay, yeah, and we are saying that we are sending a copy of this to the clerk for the governor of the state of Wisconsin, state senators, state representatives, and the secretary of Wisconsin Department of Administration and the Wisconsin Counties Association. So I will make sure to personally follow up on this.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing done, we'll have a simple vote. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay?
Were there nays?
Was anybody said nay or? Motion carries.
Resolution 68, a resolution from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee to approve the appointment of Jennifer Freiheit to serve as a member of the Local Emergency Planning Committee, Group Number 2, Health Service. For Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, Boyd Frederick, excuse. Celebrity, excuse. Wamble, excuse. Belsky, aye. Nordigan, nay. Palmaville, aye. Gully, aye.
Supervisor Frederick.
Move resolution 68.
We have a motion by Supervisor Frederick, a second by Supervisor Gully. Supervisor Frederick.
Yes, as long as, from what I've been told, the head of the health department has been a part of this committee. So in that tradition, she has been asked to be part of it, and it was moved, and it was voted with 3-1 in committee. I move this resolution to keep that person on this committee. Thank you.
The person is on the committee now.
No, this is to put her back on the local emergency planning committee.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Rose.
Go ahead.
All right. Has the health director traditionally been a member of
Yes.
the local emergency planning committee?
Yes,
And she has
going back as far as anyone can remember.
Okay. All right. And she is not serving at the present time?
And she is not serving at this time.
And why is that?
That, it was an oversight as far as anyone can tell.
I said, all right.
Any other discussion? This one we'll do a roll call.
Grady,
Aye.
Rose,
Aye.
Gents,
No.
Belsky,
Aye.
Celebrity,
Aye.
Kubicki,
Aye.
Yashki,
Aye.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
O'Day,
Aye.
Bird,
Aye.
Ron Frederick, Supervisor Ron Frederick.
Aye.
Thank you. Nudo,
No.
Franco,
Aye.
Boyd Frederick,
Aye.
Mauer,
No.
Gully,
Aye.
Wamble,
Aye.
Uhas,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Palmville,
Aye.
Nordigan,
Nay.
Decker,
No.
Winky.
No.
For the
Six
last
no.
three,
The last
Nordigan,
three-
Decker, and Winky were no. Is that correct?
That is correct. There is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 no's.
6 no, 17 yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 69 from the Public Works and Facilities and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution regarding Kenosha County Public Snowmobile Trail Funding. From Public Works and Facilities, Grady, I. Franco, I. Belsky, I. Berg, I. Nudo, unexcused. Palmville, I. Rodriguez, I. From Finance and Administration Committee, Rose, I. Gents, I. Ron Frederick, I. Wamble, I. Kubicki, I. Uhas, I. Franco, I.
Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move resolution number 69.
I have a motion by Supervisor Grady, a second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Grady on the motion.
Mr. Chairman, this is an annual event where the funding that the snowmobilers pay through their registration fees, Kenosha County acts as a conduit and disperses those funds to the individuals who can maintain and keep the trails in good shape. There's no tax impact, no levy to Kenosha County. It's simply a matter of housekeeping. We've done this for many years. I ask your support this evening.
Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a simple vote on this. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 70 from the Public Works and Facilities and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution to maintain Wisconsin Bird City status and recognize the 2021 International Migratory Bird Day proclamation. From Public Works and Facilities Committee, Grady, I. Franco, I. Belsky, I. Berg, I. Nudo, unexcused. Palmville, I. Rodriguez, I. From Finance and Administration Committee, Rose, I. Gents, I. Ron Frederick, I. Wamble, I. Kubicki, I. Uhas, I. Franco, I.
Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move resolution number 70.
We have a motion by Supervisor Grady, a second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Grady on the motion.
Yes, this is a relatively new thing we've had for the past several years. It's kind of a two-parter here. It's to maintain Wisconsin Bird City status and to recognize the 2021 International Migratory Bird Day proclamation. This is, in a manner of speaking, a feather in Kenosha County's cap to have this status. It may sound a little bit silly to say that. However, it is kind of a tourist attraction. The areas that we have here, Boeing Nature Area and some of the other wetlands and marshes. It's my understanding, although I've not seen it firsthand, that people do come from near and far to participate in these activities. And I think it's a good thing. It's a family thing. It's people outdoors. So I would ask for your support.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a simple vote on this. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carried.
Motion to end the suspension of the rules allowing for remote attendance at and participation in meetings.
Supervisor Gens.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to end the suspension of the rules.
Is there a second?
Second, Supervisor Rose.
Rose, second. Okay. Supervisor Gens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to allow the people who still want to do this virtually to do it, because now we have that capability. It has served its purpose, and I think that we should get back to our regular meetings, even if they have to be in the cafeteria for a couple months. So I mean, we've pushed through board members having COVID and not infecting everybody. The vaccines are coming out and available to us. And I just think that it's better for the public, who can then come and state their purpose and listen to us, as well as our interaction amongst ourselves to get together and do this in a meeting format. So that's my reasoning, and thank you very much.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Supervisor, I want to support Jeff or this idea that those who wish to virtually continue with the meetings may do so. Those of us who wish to meet, we've done that in social distancing. We've done that well. And it gives the public, I think, a better feeling that they're involved in letting us hear what they have to say. That's all I have to say.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Rose.
Supervisor Rose.
I would agree with what Supervisor Winkie and Supervisor Gens have said. I think it's time to have our meetings once again in person. If there are those uncomfortable with that, they can meet virtually. But I think we need to take a leadership role. We need to open up government again. The County Administration Committee building has been closed for some time, and not all services are being rendered out of all of those offices, and that has got to begin very soon. This idea of government being partially closed to the public is not a positive thing. We need to begin the leadership here and open up the county board meetings to in-person meetings to be more effective and take that leadership role in our community. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Any other discussion?
Supervisor Grady, point of information.
Go ahead.
2 points. If there were to be in-person meetings involving county board supervisors, where would that take place?
Who are you asking?
I'm asking the maker of the motion or anyone else who knows where
supervisors meet. When I made the motion, I was thinking at least to go back to the cafeteria for a couple of months and then go back to the board, to the chambers. I mean, ultimately, I would like to meet in the chambers, but I don't want to rush back to that if we have, a number of people who are uncomfortable. So I think the cafeteria does allow social distancing, and we met there without any outbreaks. We had tons of public in there without any outbreaks. And I just think that that's the way we should, like Supervisor Rose said, that's the way we should be leading. Thank you.
So you're referring to the job center meeting place, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Second point of information or question would be, if we are encouraging public comments, which I think we should, routine discourse, would then that venue be open for public comment?
According to my motion, we would open up as meetings as normal. So yes, people could come and make comments. I'm not convinced that they can follow all the virtual or sending emails or stuff like that. I believe there's a number of people in our community that are not being heard. Thank you.
Those are my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Supervisor Franco.
Yes, Mr. Frank?
Yeah, thank you. When I read the motion, there was no mention of a hybrid, though I'm not averse to it. I just wonder if there are any logistical issues, because I didn't get a chance to really think through a hybrid model where some attend in person and some, or maybe even the majority of us, attend online. Because it was written in such a way, I thought it was an either or. We either all meet in person or all continue to meet virtually. Again,
Supervisor
yes.
Franco, I can answer that. I talked with Corporation Counsel today, and due to the fact that we really never had a motion, I just had this put on the agenda. He said it would all be tied together, and I could amend the motion to be however I really wanted it to be. So I didn't put this motion, all or nothing in there. I do see the need for people who want to try to protect themselves and do it virtually if that's what they choose to do, but also those of us who feel we should be meeting in person. So I thought it was a good compromise. And that's what the motion is that I'm putting forward. But thank you for the clarification.
I see it as certainly a compromise. I just wonder if there are any other logistical things that might come up with doing it that way. But I'm just throwing that out in case anyone comes up with anything. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, this is Sharon.
Sharon Palmerville?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My one concern is when we were meeting in person, there was really no way most times to assure the safety of the people who came to speak or for the people there to listen. It was nearly impossible to social distance. There was a lot of people in one. We didn't have enough space. Literally, we didn't have enough space. So if we were to do this safely, because that was one of the reasons why we went virtual, was for the safety of the people who were coming to listen and to speak, as well as for the board members, and then for the support staff that are there. How do we assure the safety if we have 150 people show up in that very small area? I think that's short-sighted of us to not be concerned about their safety. Our numbers are still very high in this county and in our state. We are not seeing, just like the Supervisor Belsky had said, that we are looking at another resurgence coming in the next couple of weeks, and kind of seeing a slowdown of this yet. Thank you.
Supervisor Belsky.
Good point.
Supervisor Belsky, go ahead.
I want to know if it would require additional support and overtime for deputies if we go in person again. I'm just looking at the costs for support. Anybody answer that, if we would need additional support?
I would assume that a sheriff's deputy would be at every meeting, as they were even in the chambers before COVID hit. So I don't think we have, we're not going to have the explosion that we had with the, officer involved shooting, and with, needing 5 deputies at the meeting. I would think that is passed. But, we've always had 1 deputy at a meeting recently, and I don't think that we have a need for more than that. So there shouldn't be any more cost in that. And I mean, we are supposed to meet, so there are costs with that. So
about support staff, will we need additional support staff a hybrid model? I just want to ask the question.
Mr. Chairman,
Some of
Terry
the,
Rose, can I
once-
answer that
once-
in part?
Terry, just one second.
All right.
From a technical standpoint, IT, if we had it where anybody who took this motion and voted for it met at the county building, IT would have to be there, sheriff would have to be there, and anybody who didn't would still be virtual meeting like we are now. And that's where I would be. I would not be at the job center. I would be where I am now. So is that going to make a big difference? Anybody who votes against it and wants to stay virtual can still meet from their home.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Franco. Again, I'm not averse to a hybrid model in principle, but I'm getting the impression because this should be written up in a resolution addressing all of these issues clearly. So we're not kind of voting on this in the dark. It seems to me that, it's one thing to make a motion one way or the other, but there are a lot of questions that I think I could probably think of, and others can, to address some of these logistical issues that certainly would come up. I don't feel comfortable voting on this right now just as a motion without addressing some of those issues. I think it should be written out as a resolution addressing all this, and so we have it on paper and we know what we're voting for before we make a decision to go to a hybrid model, if that's what the majority of the board wants.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to respond to that, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor.
I don't, we writing up a resolution to say that we want to have a meeting. I don't really understand the questions that are not being answered. I mean, if we went back and we started having meetings, IT would be there. A sheriff's deputy would be there. I don't know what other questions we could have that, I mean, we have perfected the ability to do this virtually. So the people who want to do it virtually still can. And I think by a compromise hybrid model, that's exactly what it says. I mean, I don't think we're going to dive in and find any nickel and dime logistics that are not in there. If we all decided to go back and have meetings, we would have a deputy there. We would have IT there. We'd even have staff there, and they don't really have to be there. They could do it virtually, I guess, for a while too. But I don't see that this is some big question mark as to how this happens. We open the job center, we meet like we were, we have a deputy, and we have our meetings. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Uhas.
What? Supervisor Uhas.
To IT. With this height, is there someone here from IT? Is Sean here or Brian?
I'm here.
David?
Jordan.
Okay, if we were to do this hybrid model, would every supervisor who is at the county building be on their tablet doing it virtually so we can see them? Is that how this is going to be done?
Yeah, it's how we've done it in the past is what I'm assuming. Yeah, you would be able to.
So they would go to the county building, sit at a table, and we would still be communicating through our tablets.
I guess that's up to you guys. You could either do it the original way where you had when all staff was there, or you could do where you do it individuals. If there's like a small number of people, you could do individuals with tablets. I guess it just depends on how you would like to do it.
Sean is listening to the stream. If you'd like him to join,
I would.
I'll see if I can get him joined.
Okay. Because I guess I'm just not understanding, if you have 8 people in chambers and there's discussions going on, how are we being virtual going to hear those conversations when we're doing this over an app? So it's my understanding that if anyone's in person, they're also going to have to be on a tablet using WebEx as well. So we're still virtual, whether we're in that meeting or we're from our home.
Good point.
Mr. Chairman,
So-
if I may, Supervisor Uhas is done. This is Supervisor Rodriguez.
So I
Supervisor,
would just like clarification on that
Monica,
before we go forward.
Supervisor Uhas, are you finished now?
Yep, I'm just waiting to hear from IT.
Okay. Supervisor Rodriguez, and then I think I want to circle back to, I think after you, Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To address Supervisor Uhas's concerns, I think we're a bit overthinking this. This, to me, would be just how we were meeting prior to going virtually 100%. We were at the meetings, county board members were at the meetings, we had the microphones in front of us, and we were able to communicate with staff who at the time was not attending our meetings. They were attending virtually through WebEx, but we didn't each have our iPad in front of us. IT was able to set that up. So to me, this isn't really even something new. This is going back to what we were doing at the beginning stages of COVID before we went full virtual. But instead of just having staff on there, we're having, whichever of our colleagues decides they feel safer at home, they're more comfortable at home, whatever, they need not an excuse to use to stay at home because that's what this motion would allow. So I think we're a bit overthinking it. This is just simply taking a step back, but this time, if any of us want to stay home, as staff was directed to originally when we first started handling and dealing with COVID, you get to join them, so to speak. But for those of us who want to be there in person, or quite frankly, somebody like myself, if I was just a normal citizen, I think of the school board meetings where you've got to call ahead. And I'm going back to pre-COVID here, but you've got to call the ESC, you've got to know what you want to talk about, you've got to go through all these steps where we were, I think, one of the best ones in Kenosha County, even compared to the city of Kenosha, where there was no sign up before such a time. You could go, and if you were there in time for citizens' comments, you were able to make that comment and make your voice heard. And I think that's what Supervisor Gens is getting in part, not completely behind his motion, but that's a reason here is there are citizens who don't want to go through the hassle of calling, the day ahead or emailing their comments the day ahead, because I think of before I was even on the county board and I attended a lot of city council meetings, there were things where I would see something in the news that the city council was taking up a certain action item that night. And, if I read it in the newspaper that day, it was too late if I had to make requests by the day before, you know what I mean? So I think really this is just going back to how we were doing things. But this time, you're a supervisor, you're not mandated to be there. You can be at home if you'd like. So I'm going to support it, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Supervisor Rose.
No, Chairman O'Day, Andy Berg has been trying to speak.
Okay, I'll go to Rose and then.
And Sean is online. He's in, so if we want to hear what he has to say as well.
Okay. Supervisor Rose.
All right, thank you. Just as a reminder, we added 2 deputies to the budget for this year for the sole purpose of the courthouse security. We've always had deputies at our meeting. It could have been 1. It could have been many more than that. It could have been as high as, I believe, 8 or so. That may happen again. Nothing is really changing here. We've always had an IT person at the meeting. Again, nothing is changing here. From what I heard from the first representative for IT, it's whatever way we want it. So I don't see any problem here. The only problem is, do we have the will to go back? And I think we should.
Supervisor Berg.
Okay, my question is, if our chairman and our vice chairperson is going to be virtual, in order at the job center, if we're allowing residents to come in and say we have situations where folks want to yield their time or they want to talk over their 5 minutes, who's keeping order at the job center?
Good question.
You cut out, Andy.
Did everybody hear my question or no?
Not all of it.
Yeah. Who kept order before?
Who would keep order of the board meeting for those that are at the job center if both the chairman and the chairwoman or vice chairwoman are at are doing virtual? Who's keeping order at the job center when residents come through and say we have an issue with going over their time, or they want to yield their time and such?
Well, to answer that, the chairman should be running it virtually. And as it was set up before, he's viewing the entire meeting, and IT can have citizens comment podium set up, and the chairperson, the vice chairperson, is able to view all of that and can make comments. We can work that through IT. That's
Well,
will happen.
Because it's going to be too difficult to have to keep order of in person while you're virtual. I'm not going to be supporting this.
Chairman O'Day, we want to let Sean speak on this matter because he would be able to address a lot of this.
Go ahead.
Hello. So is everyone hearing me okay?
Yes.
I do.
Very good. So the meetings would be conducted similar to how they were before. I think Supervisor Rodriguez noted that we're in attendance, and we would have the screen on display if there were that many people there. So we would be able to continue the meeting in that regard. I'm not sure if what Supervisor Berg was saying was, we would certainly set up the public speaking podium if that was what the board determined, and that would be available. But I just wanted to be sure IT wasn't going to need to be maintaining order in that instance, right?
Absolutely not. No. Anyway, I'd like to ask the Corporation Counsel and Jeff Gens, particularly, were there any additional amendments to this motion?
Any additional amendments?
Yeah.
I mean, if we have, if we have an issue, I mean, you can read citizens' comments as they start from the screen like any other, even if you're doing it virtually.
But
I mean,
did your motion say of a hybrid? Does your motion say a hybrid thing at all?
Yes, it does. The motion I made up front said that those who want to attend virtually can. So that is the motion I made up front. Yes.
I don't remember seeing that.
I don't either.
You didn't see it, you heard it.
If I
know, but it's not written.
Then it's not been is it? Are you making it a part of your motion?
Yes, I am.
Do you have a second on that?
Yeah, Terry seconded it.
Okay, all right. Well, then we vote on the motion as amended, but we have to vote on the amendment first.
Mr. Chair, the motion just says in the thing to end the suspension of the rules allowing for remote attendance at and participation in meetings.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, the language included on the agenda was designed to comply with open meetings in order to provide sufficient notice to the public as to what the intent of the motion would be. I believe that Supervisor Gens is indicating that as he made his motion verbally to the board, it included what's being discussed now as a hybrid option, or the ability for individuals to opt to either meet in person, attend in person, or continue to do it virtually. I don't think that constitutes an amendment, because I think the language that was on the agenda was meant simply to sort of provide sufficient notice as to what the topic was going to be. I believe the motion that was made by Supervisor Gens is in order and does not need to be amended.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, is my mic, is Ron Frederick's mic on?
Go ahead. Supervisor Frederick, go ahead.
Oh, finally got the floor. Oh.
No.
How would committees meet? That's my first question. I don't give up the floor. How would committees meet?
Exactly the same as the county board.
So
Those
if I
who
want
want
to
to meet in person can go there in
That's-
person. And if you want to be doing it virtually, you can do it virtually.
second question. Would those of you who don't wear masks at the meeting start wearing masks?
That part of your
Can I-
motion, Jeff?
The question was, was those of you who don't wear masks at the meetings now wear masks? Would that be mandatory?
The sign
No, I
at the
don't
building.
think we can make that mandatory. So if
Well-
that is a problem, you could do it virtually.
Well, I definitely will, but I would never vote for this motion.
Okay?
This thing kicks out in April. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Vaccines are out there. We haven't got them yet. The same people that want to meet there in person are the same people who won't wear masks. And I don't feel comfortable where you don't wear a mask, more or less, in a room where we have public comments, and all of a sudden 200 people show up and screaming at us for 3 hours. We're all in danger. Let's leave it the way it is. We'll run it out till April, and it'll drag out. It'll go out by itself. This is crazy.
Yeah, then in April, we'll find some excuse why not to meet again. No.
Just might do that.
Yeah, no.
Chairman,
Okay.
Supervisor Gully,
Supervisor Gully, you have the floor.
for information to through the chairman to Mr. Smith. I'm assuming a hybrid model would then require someone or members of your staff to be on site in person. I keep the floor.
Yes.
Yes.
And then same comment through the chairman to the county clerk. Would it going the hybrid route mandate that someone from your staff would be required to be there in person?
I don't know what the answer is to that. I can tell you my preference would be not to meet in person. My son had COVID in March, and he's still very ill. So I would like to stay far away from people at this time, if possible.
Thank you, clerk. That was my point, that I'm comfortable making the decision for myself. I'm not as comfortable mandating other people attend for my benefit. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other discussion?
Roll call requested on the vote, Mr. Chairman.
Question?
All the discussion, we'll go to a vote.
Sharon Palmerville has a question.
Sharon, go ahead.
So again, we're not taking into account those people who and speak virtually. We're not doing anything to protect them. If you have 200 people in an area that's maybe 40 by 20, we're not doing anything. That was the original intention, as well as protecting staff and board, is protecting the people who come to speak. Think about the veterans who came for many, many meetings. We were at some point unable to safely socially distance them because so many people had showed up to talk. So what are we going to do to ensure the safety of the people that come to speak or to listen to the meetings? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I
Thank
think
you.
I can answer that if I could.
Uh,
Supervisor Rose.
Supervisor Rose, you have another comment to make?
Yes, people can come to the meeting if they so choose. People have always been able to and do write to the county board. And those comments are often as effective or more effective. So it depends upon what you have to say. There's nothing prohibiting people who do not want to attend to write the board as a collective group.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Otherwise, we'll go to a vote and have a roll call vote.
No, Day, I have a comment. This is Supervisor Decker.
Supervisor Decker, you have the floor.
I'm in favor of this resolution because it gives an option to the people that want to attend in person. If someone is leery of attending because of COVID, then they do not have to. They're not required to. Same with people doing citizen comments. We can still do the online citizen comments, or they can do it in person. And I guess my last comment is I don't understand why so many people are afraid of getting COVID at the meetings, when at the one meeting in November, we specifically set up that people with COVID could come and vote. When we knew they had COVID, we set them up to come and vote. I didn't see anyone complaining about that when that happened.
Yes.
Ready for a roll call vote?
Yes.
Grady,
Aye.
Rose,
Aye.
Gents,
Aye.
Belsky,
Oh, no.
Celebrity,
No.
Kubicki,
No.
Geschke,
Aye.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
O'Day,
No.
Berg, Ron Frederick,
No.
Nudo,
Yes.
Franco,
No.
Boyd Frederick,
No.
Mauer,
Aye.
Scully,
No.
Wamble,
Yes.
Uhas,
No.
Beth,
No.
Palmaville,
No.
Nordigan,
Aye.
Decker,
Aye.
Winky.
It failed by one.
Jesus.
11 yes, 12 no. Motion fails.
Thank you.
Me.
Communications.
Probably.
I need your permission?
What?
Nothing.
A lot of smart people around here.
County clerk.
Communications number 8 from Andy M. Bueller regarding future items scheduled before the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee.
Receive and file.
Claims 25, Lisa Spey, vehicle damage.
Refer to Corporation Council, please.
Approval of the November 12th, 2020 and January 5th, 2021 minutes by Supervisor Palmaville.
Supervisor Palmaville. Supervisor Palmaville, move the motion.
Motion.
And a second by Supervisor.
Frederick.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adjourn by Supervisor, who was it?
Second.
Berg.
Andy Berg.
Second by Supervisor.
Rodriguez.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nobody's opposed? Ayes have it. You are adjourned.